Hi friends, let us look at logic-based DI question today. And this is an actual CAT question that I've picked up. So I suggest that you first pause this video, work out this question, and then join me for the discussion, which will help you to derive maximum benefit from this session. Now, the data says that there are two brands of kitchen mixer grinders, Purana and Naya. And Purana, as the name suggests, is an old brand introduced in 1990. But then if you notice, you have this blue band as blue bars are Purana, and we have data only from 1995, okay? Whereas Naya was introduced in 1997, and we have data for Naya from 1997 onwards. For both these brands, 20% of the mixer grinders bought, okay? Please note that word, okay? Mixer grinders which have been bought in a particular year are disposed of as junk exactly 2 years later, okay? So something is bought in 1995, it is disposed of in 1997, for example. It is known that 10 Purana mixer grinders were disposed of in 1997. The following figures give the number of Purana and Naya mixer grinders in operation from 1995 to 2000. So it gives you the number of mixer grinders which are in operation from 95 to 2000. So let us put down these figures in a form of a sort of a table. For example, I mean, if you're looking at, let us say Purana, then we are talking about the items in use, which is in 1995, 96, 97, 98, 99, and 2000. And then we would put these numbers down, okay? 21, okay, 222, 236, and 236. Now, the question says that out of the 20% of the mixer grinders which have been bought in a particular year, and then we are talking about disposed of. So we need to also look at two more parameters, which is how many were bought, bought by customers, and the next one is disposed of, okay? And there's some data here which says that, okay, which says that it is known that 10 Purana mixer grinders were disposed of in 1997. So disposed of in 1997. So whatever data we have, we put it down on a table. So in order to create more space to work it out, let me take a fresh sheet, okay, where whatever data we had in the bar chart, I have actually put it down in the table. So all the details about Purana is here. Okay, this was given in the bar chart. Where is this 10? This 10 was given here. Okay, 10 Purana mixer grinders were disposed of in 1997. So that is this 10. Same thing here with Naya also. I have put down the data here, and the figures are available from 1997 to 2000. And remember, Naya came into operation. It was introduced in 1997. So we have the entire data of Naya right from the beginning. In the case of Purana, it was introduced in 1990. We have data only from 1995. So now let us look at Purana first. Now we have this figure here, okay, 10. Now what does it say? It says that 20% of those bought in a particular year, 20% of those bought in a particular year were disposed of, okay? So the 10 which were disposed of in 1997 were part of a set of things which were bought in 1995. And now, part of that means what? 20% of that. 20% of this figure is 10, which means that this figure has to be 50. Okay, 20% of this is 10, so this figure has to be 50. Now, the next thing what we can say is, what about the number of items which were purchased by customers in 1997, this figure here. What is this figure? Okay, For that, just take a look at these three numbers, 1, 2, and 3, and that will help you to put down your figure here. We had 162 items in use in 1996. It jumped up to 182 next year, but then keep in mind that this 182 here are the items in use after 10 were disposed of, which means that before disposing them, okay, 192, that is 182 plus 10 were in use, and then out of that 10 were thrown away. So 162 in fact became 192, not 182. Okay, once you get it, we have through with solving this set. Okay, so 162 then became 192. How did you get 192? 182 in existence plus the 10 which were thrown off. So those were there in operation at some point of time earlier. So 162 became 192. So 162 to 192, how did it make that jump from 162 to 192? The 30 numbers in use were because 30 extra items were bought by customers when in 1997. So 30 items were purchased by customers in 1997. Now, once we have this number here, now, according to the data, 20% of this will be thrown away 2 years later. So 20% of this is 6, that will be disposed of 2 years later. Now, once we have this number, I should be able to calculate this number here, like we did for 1997, correct? Okay. How do we do that? Just look at these numbers, 222, 236, and the 6. Now, 222 jumped to 236 plus 6. Why? Because there were 236 in operation after disposing of 6. So at some point of time, 236 plus 6, 242 were in operation. 236 happens after we threw away 6. So that 6 was earlier there, right? Okay, and then you threw it away. So 236 plus 6, okay, becomes 242. Okay. Now, don't get confused. Don't say that, okay, this was disposed of, from the, from this 30 and all that. No, this was disposed of in 1999, 2 years later. So this 6 is a figure pertaining to 1999. So 236 were in operation after disposing 6 that particular year. So at one point of time, you had 242. So 222 became 242. And because customers purchased 20 more items for use. So 222, we bought 20 more, 242, and then 6 were disposed of, and we are back to 236 in use. And we will not be able to do any further calculation on this Purana set because I would not be able to find out this. Okay, to find this out in 1996, for example, if I have to calculate this, then I should have this number, right? How much was disposed of? I would not be able to do that without this. Okay, so I would not be able to do any further calculation on this. So that's it with respect to the Purana mixer grinders. Now coming to the Naya mixer grinders. Now that's interesting. Now in the case of Naya, it says that Naya was introduced in 1997. Okay. So Naya was introduced in 1997, and then 20% of those bought during that particular year were disposed of 2 years later. So Naya came into existence in 1997, and 30 items are being used by customers. How are 30 items being used by customers? Because they bought them. Okay, so 30 customers purchased Naya. Okay, it was freshly introduced brand in 1997. 30 were in use, means that 30 people bought it. So, and out of those 30, 20% were disposed of 2 years later when in 1999, okay, 20% of the 6 were disposed of in 1999. So nothing was disposed of here. Nothing was disposed of next year also. Whatever was disposed of is 2 years down the line. 20% of this is 6. Got it? Okay. So there's a new brand, started manufacturing in 1997. 30 items in use obviously means new item into the market. 30 people are using it, means 30 people purchased it. 30 purchased it. Straight away, out of the 30, we know that 20%, that is 6, were disposed of 2 years later. 2 years later, so which means that nothing was disposed of the same year in 1997, nothing was disposed of the next year. Okay, now let us come to this particular figure here, 80. We know that nothing was disposed of. Okay, so 80 were in use in 1998. In 1997, 30 are in use. So how did 30 become 80? 30 became 80 because a new set of 50 mixer grinders were purchased by customers. Okay, when in 1998. So 30 became 80 because of a set of 50 items were bought by customers. I mean, 50 numbers were bought by customers in 1998. Okay. Now we come to 1999, should be able to do this. Similar to what we did for Purana. If you look at three numbers, which are the three numbers? We know that now, right? I mean, these three numbers, okay? Using this 80, 124, and 6, I should be able to get this number. The same logic what we used earlier for Purana. So we have 80 items in use in 1998. That went up to 124 next year, but that 124 is after throwing away 6. So at one point of time, the 6 were in use, okay? And 6 were disposed of in 1999. During that year, right, before disposing of, they were in use during that year, okay? So at one point of time, 130 were in use in 1999, and then 6 were thrown off. So which means that 80 became 130. 80 became 130 because the customers purchased 50 new items. Okay. Fine. Now, what about this number here? I can get this number here. How? Because I know the number of items which were, let me remove all this, okay, which were purchased here, okay? So we know that 50 were purchased in 1998. 20% of that means what? 10. 10 were, okay, 50 purchased here. We know that 20% of that were disposed of 2 years later, which means that 10 were disposed of in the year 2000. Now, using three figures, 1, 2, and 3, I should be able to get this number. Same logic, okay, repetitive. We had 124, that is jumping to 134, but that 134 is after 10 were disposed of in the same year. 10 were disposed of. So at some point of time in 2000, this 10 was in use, okay? So the 10 were in use, so which means that 144 items were in use. So 124 became 144, okay? Because 20 were bought by customers. So 124, then look at this, 124, 20 were bought, so it became 144, and then we threw away 10, and we came to this figure of 134. Again, we've solved this question. Okay, and let's look at the CAT questions which were asked, okay? Okay, 2 questions were based on Naya, very straightforward questions. It says, how many Naya grinders were disposed of by the end of 2000? Now, be very careful here. It was said disposed of by the end of. It is not what was disposed of in 2000. What was disposed of in 2000 is not what they're asking, right? Cumulatively, by the end of 2000, how many were disposed of? So we had 6 here plus 10 here. So by the end of 2000, we threw away 10 plus 6. So we threw away 16. Okay, the question is how many were disposed of by the end of 2000? Okay, so 6 in 1999 plus another 10 the next year, total is 16. Now, the second question is how many Naya were purchased in 1999? And the answer here is 50. Okay, the answer is 50. So 2 of the questions were based on Purana mixer grinders. The first one says how many Purana mixer grinders were purchased in 1999, and we have this figure here, which is 20. Okay. How many Purana mixer grinders were disposed of in the year 2000 was the next question. Disposed of, I don't know. What is this figure? I have no clue. Okay. Why? Because to get this, I should have got this, right? I should know this. Okay. I don't know that, right? Because how do I get this number? I would get this number only if I know this, and the disposal of figure. I don't know the disposal of figure. So if I had these 3 figures, if I have, and I don't have this figure, if I have those 3 figures, then I would have calculated this figure here. Okay. And then I would have taken 20% of that to arrive at this figure. But then I don't have the data. So my answer is a beautiful cannot be determined. The best answer in the world. Thank you. Okay. So friends, that's it. A very basic question, but an actual CAT question all the same. And I hope you got a intro feel on logic-based data interpretation. Take care. Thanks.